Well, hello, and welcome to the Moviegoers Society podcast, brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Chargeport, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and once again with me is my co-host, Drew Manhausen, the tongue-tied tonight, professional media and movie mastermind. I feel like I've been talking all weekend in general. I got my water next to me, so I'll be drinking a little bit of that throughout. But excited to be live with Drew because we finally got to see a movie together, which is a rare opportunity.
A movie that's actually based off of the way that I've been looking at Sean for years now. Sean, when I look at you, my eyes just turn into big hearts. You know, it's how it's always been.
I mean, we communicate with emojis and a lot of heart emojis, I guess, too. A lot of heart.
We really don't do that, everyone, but you know, for the sake of this conversation, we absolutely do.
Yeah, welcome everybody joining us live, and they're going to check this out on replay or check it on our podcast network or on YouTube. You know, in this episode, we're going to be talking Hard Eyes, and we're asking the following question. Is this the next great slasher movie? Valentine's is just around the corner. Before I do get into that, I do want to do some plugs, if that's okay with you, Drew, because I've been busy as well. I just want to make note to everybody. I got some cool interviews up. The Dogman director, Peter Hastings, spoke to him about the Dogman movie that's now in theaters. Great conversation.
Which did really well this weekend. Like, did
$35 million on a $40 million budget opening weekend. I think that's pretty awesome. And then also, very heartfelt, very passionate conversation, emotional conversation with Jenna Frank, the daughter of the late Jason David Frank, our beloved green, white, red, black Power Ranger, all the favorite Power Ranger that we lost. Caught up with his daughter. We spoke about a lot of great topics, and that's also on our YouTube channel as well. And something really cool that I got sent here, Drew. I got the complete series of the Wayans brothers. If you can see
nice.
That. Did you watch the show at all? A little bit, maybe? Caught a couple episodes?
Here and there.
Well, it's a great show. The complete series now available, and it's a good time to watch that because, you know, the brothers are back for Scary Movie 6. So a good time to catch up on the great show, The Wayans Brothers. So appreciate Warner Brothers Home Entertainment for sending me that. But let's making sure we got everything going on here on this stream we're doing. Even though we've been doing the live streams, I'm still like learning the ropes as well, you know, fighting tabs and stuff like that. I know the Grammys are on right now, Drew, and Emmanuel said, I'm here because I was promised singing, joking. Well, I did mention this, Emmanuel, we could sing for him if he really wants, but I saw a couple of the performances already on the Grammys. I don't think we can live up to that because he is currently channel surfing both shows, this one and the Grammys. So thank you, Emmanuel, for joining us.
I just saw, before we went live, I had seen Sabrina Carpenter won Best Pop Vocal Album, I think. She won a big award, and I just saw that before we got in. That's about all I know about the Grammys. Sean, I surround myself with movies. When it comes to music, I am not the music media mastermind.
I love movies. That Emmanuel's just telling us what's going on. Beyonce just won Best Country Album. So as we're doing this, I think Emmanuel should be giving us these Grammys announcements, and we're gonna pop up on here. I think that's gonna be a great hybrid episode for tonight. Mentioning some Grammy stuff as we talk Hard Eyes, which is a Valentine's thriller that blends romance. Yes, I said romance, everybody. Comedy and blood-soaked mayhem. This film, you know, something that me and Drew got to see. It was our own very date night, Drew and I. Really delivers a self-aware and thrilling experience. I think it makes for the perfect date night. Valentine's, Galentine's, or, you know, just watching with friends. But before we dive into everything, I'm going to give you all a little synopsis of this movie, Hard Eyes. So for the past several years, the Hard Eyes killer has been terrorizing couples on Valentine's Day, and this year, no couple is safe. Directed by Josh Rubin and written by Philip Murphy, Christopher Landon, and Michael Kennedy, the movie plays with slasher tropes while keeping things fresh and fun. Drew, you mentioned this, and I took your word. Self-aware is your word. When I wrote my review, I said Drew said self-aware, and I love just those two words because that's what I think really makes this movie stand out, is how self-aware it is. You can tell the filmmakers have a love for the genre and really wanted to, play with expectations. So, Drew, I think we should start off with the cast, which really I think sells the film. And for me, I think uh, Mason Gooding, amongst everyone, I love Mason Gooding really taking the lead role or co-lead role in this, and truly, truly shined to me. What'd you think? Like,
Yes.
who was your standout? We're gonna pick favorites here. I'm sorry, it's not the things we like doing, but I want you to pick your favorite. I truly loved uh, Mason Gooding amongst this amazing cast. I think seeing him in Scream and not seeing much of him, I was truly surprised.
Yeah, he's kind of a supporting role, but in the core group in Scream, in the new Scream movies, and is a more central figure here. I thought Olivia Holt, who's the female lead, she plays Allie. I thought she was good. I thought the friend, who I'm seeing the name is Gigi Zombato. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That played
Yeah,
Allie's friend. I thought she was a standout. She has a lot of the comedic lines, but her delivery is genuinely funny. So I really looked to, I don't think, it does not look like she's in the cast photo that's up now, but she's a standout in the movie.
yeah. Her chemistry with Olivia Holt is really good. I love their friendship in this. Tons of great chemistry. I feel amongst everyone. Like I said, that Mason Gooding, he kills it in the Scream franchise. He's coming
Oh
back
no,
for
that
the
is
next.
her on the far right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that is her. I
sorry, I
apologize. Yeah,
misspoke.
that is her. We're not zoomed in on the photos, but yes, that is her. But yeah, Mason Gooding, we see him killing the Scream franchise. He's coming back for Scream 7, but he really delivers a stand-up performance. He's got really like this charisma that I didn't know he truly had. He doesn't really have it that much in Scream. And in this one, you kind of root for him. You don't know about his character as much, and you don't know where he's going with, where his character is going to lead you. But like, you like him regardless. And like you mentioned, Olivia Holt, she's so good in this, and she really balances the comedy and horror and just the romance aspect of it. Not someone that believes in true love, and you got a real leading lady in Olivia Holt, which I absolutely love. And then you obviously got Jordana Brewster and Devin Sawa, and this cracked me up, Drew. That they're literally Hobbs and Shaw in this movie,
Which is good because Jordana Brewster comes from the Fast and Furious franchise, so I appreciated that joke in the movie, and also Jordana Brewster, her character in the Fast and Furious movies, like she was Paul Walker's love interest, and like for some of the movies was always kind of to the side. She does get some action in those movies, like in some of the action scenes, but there's a lot of the movies where she's kind of sidelined. So to see her in this as a detective, but also delivering a lot of comedy, I was like, okay, she's got some chops. Back to Mason Gooding for a second. For sure has his father's smile. This is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son. And
wait. Am I living under a rock? I never put that together.
Yes,
Wait,
yes, it is.
wait. This is like breaking news to me. I'd never put that together.
He looks a lot like his dad when you know.
That's wild now. I had no clue that was him. That is wild. Yeah, I mean, my mind's just blown right now, Drew. You got me like kind of shocked a little bit.
I didn't mean to catch you off guard.
I mean,
But
okay,
yeah,
so
he
talent
he
does
can
run in the
flash
family,
that
but
smile, and
yeah.
he comes from the school of charisma that I'm sure his father came from, and he can lead a movie.
Yeah, I love Devin Sawa is such a cool guy in general. I mean, he's so cool with the fans and everyone that supports all the projects, and he supports everyone's like shares and reshares online, and just loves connecting with the fans and supporters of all his projects. And he's been around a long time. People know him from when he was young, and obviously in the Casper and Little Giants, and then going on to Final Destination and Idle Hands, which is getting a remake. Interesting enough. And everything else he's done, and obviously being in the Chucky series and a lot more stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
and he's somebody who who comes from being a child actor and kind of this young like heartthrob of the 90s, but it's awesome that he's still working, but he now kind of has like a gruff, like rugged appearance and things too when he's doing things. Like he still has those handsome looks, but he's kind of rugged and it works for him. And he's in all kinds of stuff these days. So yeah, I'm glad he's still working.
no,
But
he
on the
has a
big
lot of
screen.
stuff. Yeah, no, it's always great to see him on big screen, especially in this genre. If it's so fun to see him in this, and what I want to get into, is the balance of this movie of romance, comedy, and horror. But let's start with the horror elements. It starts off so strong, like crazy awesome. I didn't know what to expect with this film. Like, I didn't know how much it was going to take itself seriously, how much it was going to lean into horror. It's rated R. Is it really going to give us rated R? And the opening scenes, it's like hilarious.
So I'm with
crazy.
you. Like,
Yeah.
I had only seen the teaser trailer for this where it's kind of like the scene of their date night, and then they go back to her apartment, and then they realize that the hard eyes killer is in the closet. And like that's kind of the bulk of the trailer. And just from that trailer, I don't remember it well enough. It's not like when I rewatched, but I just remember it playing up like the slasher aspect of it. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh, the heart eyes mask is kind of cheesy. Like, is that really what we're doing? But when you actually sit down and watch the movie, as soon as we saw the opening scene that you alluded to, like, I was like, okay, this is the kind of movie that we're watching. Like, this is not a movie that takes itself too seriously, but it's totally willing to, have the gore and everything and some jump scares. And overall it's fun. Like you mentioned that I say things are self-aware a lot, and it's true. I feel like especially in horror we are seeing a lot more movies that are trying to be self-aware, but just because a movie tries to be self-aware doesn't always mean that they pull it off. And this one did. I'd say it knew what tone it was going for, and it kind of nailed it. Christopher Landon is a writer on this movie, and he's done a lot of these kinds of horror comedies, the Happy Death Day movies and Freaky,
And you've
and
seen those, right? I honestly, I'll admit, I haven't seen those films. And
I
know they're
love
pretty
those
good.
movies.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know they're right
yeah.
up your alley.
He also did the Netflix We Have a Ghost movie that came out a couple of years ago with David Harbour in it, which is a movie that I didn't like very much, but it was kind of a
Oh,
more
that was fun,
family.
but that was kind of fun. That was fun, family friend, like family
Yeah, I mean,
friendly
it was
fun. I do
fine. It
remember
was
that
fine,
one.
but
I did
like
see that one.
the Happy Death Day movies I love, and I thought Freaky was really good. So his new movie, he's got a new movie coming out soon called Drop that I do think looks
Yes.
good.
Yeah. So a great team overall, behind the camera, in front of the camera. Like we mentioned, brutal kills when you start off with talking. I wanted to actually go back to the mask. I didn't know what to take of it watching the trailers, but the hardest thing to do in horror films is creating a killer with a mask and making the mask stand out, have a purpose, being somewhat iconic. And I feel like this mask we're gonna see at Halloween easily. Like, this is a mask we're gonna end up seeing a lot of now, because it looks great actually on film, and especially we see the eyes glowing, but when it's not glowing, like, it's not always glowing in the film. So when it's not, it's actually pretty gnarly looking mask. It's pretty scary actually, to be honest. It's pretty haunting to see that. But the kills are inventive, grotesque. I didn't really get a sense of any CGI to my eyes. Like, as just enjoying as a moviegoer, everything, all the kills, everything looked
There are some
practical.
good practical effects for sure.
Some really, I mean, it really earned its rated R, its R rating. Here, as Emmanuel says, love the self-aware, the cheesy dad jokes sprinkled throughout the movie. It's hard to make a movie that hits three different genres and balancing it out where you're just not like, this is silly, or what's going on here. This is not a real horror film. It really was campy enough at times, cute at times, at the same time, and just horrific at times, and it balanced it out. That's a really hard formula to put together. I mean, these guys are like true chemists putting this all together in one little vial.
And with a movie like this, that's kind of interesting. So the movie hasn't come out yet wide, so I don't want to get too into. I'm not going to get in any spoiler territory, I promise.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing spoilers this episode because this movie comes out on February 7th, so we're really early on this. But we do want to promote it, get out there, because we truly think this is a great watch for this weekend and actual Valentine's week. You got 2 weekends to really get into the spirit of Valentine's and having fun, or just watching it after the first 2 weeks as well.
And I think this is all set up in the first couple minutes of the movie. So I don't think it's spoiler to say, like, the Heart Eyes Killer strikes on Valentine's Day. The Heart Eyes Killer targets couples. And the thing that's in the movie that it establishes is, like, the Heart Eyes Killer focuses on different cities each year. So this is a national phenomenon. So everybody kind of in the country knows about the Hard Ice Killer. And so that being said, without acknowledging how the resolution of this movie plays out, it's kind of, it doesn't necessarily matter, because if this movie is successful, you could easily have, an annualized or every other year franchise on your hands, like for a Valentine's Day horror movie. I think we talked about this after the movie, and you said, no, please don't do that. Like, just have this be a one and done.
I was happy with the standalone, and you don't want to diminish the greatness of this film in my eyes. A prequel would be cool, or I mean, a sequel or prequel works totally. It totally works, because I think this is the first time we've seen a killer that really is city to city and city. Like, it goes everywhere, not isolated in one small town, like Nightmare on Elm Street on one. Like, there's this killer is not just an isolated place. So everyone really should be fearful of the Hard Ice Killer, which I think is like the first time is that the first time we've seen something like that? Because I can't recall any type of slasher film. I mean, Scream maybe, when they went to from New York. But where's Woods? It's Woodsboro, right? Where's that at? Like, what state is that?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, Scream going to New York was a big change. And you bring up the Scream comparison, and it's probably the most apt comparison to this movie, right? Like, this movie is highly inspired by Scream. And even the fact that Mason Gooding's in this movie and is in the Scream movies, like, doesn't seem like that's an accident. And the thing is, with this, and you said, could be a prequel or something, which, yeah, that's all fine and good, but the thing is,
go into the first kills, go into the very early first kills from the Hard Ice Killer would be really cool to see. Kind of like we sometimes want to see, like, Michael Myers, like how far back we can go and see his first kills.
But the thing is, this is a killer that's known, and even if the killer is or isn't caught in one place, it's a nationally known thing. So it begs for somebody to mimic this killer, or be inspired by this killer,
like Scream does. Like Scream has, like, all the other copycats, and other ones have copycats.
Yes, but you could eliminate some of the ties that the Scream movie has with this, because in the Scream movies, with the exception of a couple of them, everything comes back to Sidney Prescott, right? It comes back to Neve Campbell's character, and sometimes the kills or killers and the way that they're linked back to her, it's truly like they're,
that's a stretch.
Exactly.
And you see what they're doing now. Some of the casting, I didn't really we didn't post much about it on our end, but I was like, really, who else do they want to bring back? Like, come on now, let's move forward. And that's why I'm excited for people to see Hard Eyes, because I think this is the refreshing slasher movie that's not trying to build on a legacy from prior, or just trying to be its own thing, and also pay homage to past slasher films and where a slasher film should go coming into the future, and really have fun with it and really be creative. And that's really what I loved about this one, and how fun and creative it was. And
see, that's why I'm saying I could have a Hard Ice Killer every year, hunting a different couple with unique and interesting kills, and with a different kind of whodunit aspect to it. Like, I feel like you could do that, and they don't have to be connected to each other necessarily, which is why this movie actually kind of begs to be franchised in that way. But we have to see, the movie is not even out yet. We have to see how it does. However, I do feel like horror movies and Valentine's Day are a perfect combo. Like,
yeah,
a lot of couples like going to see horror movies, and like it's good counter programming to your typical romance movies. And there's kind of a slew of horror movies at the box office right now. Like, we just had Presence, the Steven Soderbergh movie is showing in some places, Wolfman, and then Companion just came out.
That's right.
This is different. Like, all those movies are very different, even if they're kind of within a horror genre or horror light for like something like Presence. This is a slasher movie, and none of those are slasher movies. So this is its own unique thing. I think this is an extremely fun Valentine's date night movie for those that like horror, which is why
or for those that don't like horror, Drew, like me. I don't like horror, and I always gravitate myself to slasher movies for some reason. I don't know why. I enjoy them. I can't tell you why. They don't scare me, I guess, in that way, in whatever reason. They're not like haunting to me. I mean, there are some like, scary aspects to it, but I think slasher films are the best like overall safe genre in that for everybody. Like anyone can really enjoy them. There's no real nightmares unless like you really get scared, like I can probably sometimes. I will mention this. Love the film. If I have one thing to say, I have this picture up here with the carousel. I wanted more from the scene. I love the setup. I just wanted to be here longer. That's all I can say about that. I'm not going to give out any spoilers. I thought this was a really fun scene. And like what they did, I just wanted to stay there longer. I like stuff that has to deal with amusement. Anything amusement park wise, I just love. I'm trying to recall. Do you remember that one Chucky movie where I guess he's like in the military school with the
Oh
little
yeah, that's
kid?
the third one. That's Chucky
Yes.
3 or
And-
Child's Play 3.
yeah, and they go to an amusement park, don't they? He like sneaks off in the woods and there's like a carnival.
There might be. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
See,
since
that's the
I've seen
only thing I remember about that movie. Anything like that's why I like Beverly Hills Cop 3 because they're at an amusement park. Anything that has to do with like carny rides or amusement parks or anything like that. And there's a couple other scenes in there that are really good that are kind of reminiscent of that.
The second one has the big climax in the toy factory, like in the what's the doll called in Chucky? What is he?
Oh, the good boy, like the good boy or something. I don't remember.
It's something like that. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy now, and I don't feel like researching
I know
it.
our brains are fried right now.
But not buddy, not my buddy. My oh well. And regardless, it's in the factory. The second, I know the third one's the military one, but if it goes to an amusement park, I can't remember.
Yeah, so Emmanuel does good guy doll.
Good
It was a good guy
guy.
doll. Yeah. So Emmanuel says, yeah, child play ends at the carnival. I remember that scene like and vividly. And then yeah, it's the good guy. Thank you, Emmanuel, for saving our brains today. I think I recall watching that Chucky 3 movie like on UPN. I watched so much stuff on UPN that would be on there that really like without that channel that doesn't exist anymore. I guess now it's a CW technically. A lot of movies I would not have ever seen in my life. So I thank the UPN for back then for introducing a lot of films. I think Leprechaun was on there at some point. There was a lot of stuff on there that I was watching back then. Would you? Oh, this is one thing I wanted to mention. His use of weaponry is pretty good too. I thought the Cupid stuff, the Cupid arrows were cute. Like that was a clever thing. I didn't expect that. I was like, that's an obvious thing to have, but I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't paying attention. I was like, wait, it's like he's like cute. He's like the evil Cupid. I'm like the most obvious thing put in front of us. And I was like, wait, this is kind of a smart idea. Like I didn't even think about that. It's like the evil Cupid in town.
And a mini crossbow just makes for good weaponry because there's something about arrows sticking out of things and people that looks painful. I did find it almost humorous at times in the movie. Like you never really see him reloading it. It's like he has this mini crossbow that somehow just has unlimited ammo.
Well, I think he had there's a trench coat. The trench coat, I think there was arrows in there. Like he's like the is it Boondock Saints where he like opens his jacket up and he has a bunch of stuff like weaponry or if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yes, I believe so.
Just throwing all these movies back into this connected. But that's how fun this movie is. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat, keeps you guessing at like what's going on, how is this gonna end? Is this ending? There's a one time I thought it's like this movie's really over, and because it felt like it was time to end. Like, nope, get ready for more. I was like, okay, and it's a small yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that, like with the pacing, I did feel like at the beginning, because the two main characters, Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding, like they kind of have their meet cute, and then you have to have their like kind of initial date. And I thought some of those
it wasn't a date. That wasn't a date.
Long.
It wasn't a date. We're gonna argue that it's not. It wasn't.
You're right. You're right. Technically, it wasn't a date. But it did feel like early on, I'm like, okay, this movie's got a close to 90-minute runtime. They probably were struggling to make that. Like they are milking this. Now it works because the main characters have chemistry and it sets them up for, the journey they're about to go on while being chased by a killer. but I did feel like they were milking it. But once it gets going and the kills start and they're being stalked by the killer, I feel like the pacing's pretty good. Like it doesn't really let up too much.
Well, I mean, they have to emphasize the romance aspect, and I think we need to really let people know is this is technically a really strong romance movie. Like, let's not forget about that. If you really took out everything else, this is a pretty good rom-com. Like, just how they meet, you know, coming into the office and be like, oh, this guy is, yeah. So in general,
if you cut out like the opening scene and then all the hard ice stuff that comes after, their little meet cute and their initial date, not date, could just be a rom-com. Like it's straight up out of a rom-com.
That's what I loved about it. And I think that's why I wouldn't call it pacing issues per se, but I get what you're saying, because after the first kills, it takes a while before we get the next set of kills. And that's just because this is a very unique hybrid movie. It was the best way to go about it, but that just shows us how much we love what they showed us killing wise. With all the kills, we wanted more of it. And the girls that watch this movie too, they're gonna be like, oh, we like the romance aspect of it as well. And I like the romance aspect of it. And we're just keep saying like the romance and comedy, perfect balance. I'm gonna praise this movie. Really, really great. I would watch again. I don't like rewatching a lot of movies, but I think I would watch this again just because that's how fun it was for this genre. And it's been a while, for me at least, to find a film that had a really likable cast. Every single person I liked. I didn't question anything in this movie. I didn't think anything, sometimes you watch movies like, that's not a smart move, that's dumb, or that's a cliche. And I was like, everything was kind of fitting together pretty darn well. And the comedy aspect was pretty solid too. So
have
great.
You seen Werewolves Within?
I don't know. Probably not.
So that's the movie that Josh Rubin, the director of this, directed before, and it's I think it's actually based off of a video game. But the concept of that one is that they're all stuck together, and one of these characters is a werewolf, but you don't know which one it is, and so it's they're being killed off. And
that's pretty cool. I have to check that out actually. To be honest, that kind of piqued my interest with that one.
And I think Hard Eyes I liked Werewolves Within. I think Hard Eyes is probably a little bit better, but Werewolves Within kind of has that similar tone of balancing slasher with comedy, and has a very fun cast as well. And so I recommend that. So if you really like this and you're looking for something kind of in the same lane, check out Werewolves Within. It's got where
did you watch this at?
I'm sure it's streaming somewhere now because it came out a couple years ago. It's a 2021 movie, and so I caught it streaming then. It's Sam Richardson is one of the leads of this movie, who I think he's genuinely pretty funny. And and the girl that you would recognize her from the AT&T commercials, but she was also supposed to play Squirrel Girl.
Oh, Squirrel Girl. Okay,
you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
She's the other lead of this movie.
Oh, okay, cool. No, it's awesome.
Check out Werewolves Within. It's good. I'm sure it's probably streaming somewhere. I just don't have it in front of me right now.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. Great work by Josh Rubin and the writers and everyone involved. Even gotta get props to all the people that did all the practical effects and the set and all the the design of the mask and all the act. I mean, everyone really seemed like put a team effort in bringing something super original and super fun. I gave this film, Drew, 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a solid for a movie that I know technically it comes out in February, but we said anything we watch in January aren't always the best movies. But surprisingly, January was very much better than most Januaries for films. And I feel like 2025 has elevated, I guess, some of the films we're getting on the first couple months. So I'm super excited for everyone to see Hard Eyes when it comes out February 7th. But I thought this film got the right mix of humor, romance, horror, and a fun addition to the slasher genre. That's for sure.
I agree. There's still a lot of holiday holdovers at the box office. Like, a lot of theaters are still showing Wicked and Mufasa and maybe even Sonic. Even though a lot of these movies are on demand, or you can get them on premium VOD. But I went and saw a few movies in the past week that I needed to get caught up on. Like I saw Companion, another new release that I quite enjoyed, and I do highly recommend it. Especially, I think some of the newer trailers have spoiled things in it, but if you don't know what happens in it, avoid the trailers going blind. That's the best way to experience that movie. Presence, the new Steven Soderbergh movie that's all told from the perspective of a spirit in a house. I really enjoyed that one. There's Flight Risk, which if you're really wanting a thriller, that one's okay. I can't give it as hearty of a recommendation, but there's so much.
I mean, there's so much, and let's shout out again once again, Dogman as well.
That's
for
right.
The kiddos.
I haven't had a chance to see Dogman yet.
Oh man, you're in for a treat. I mean, that's all a whole different side from Hard Eyes. But
talk about counter programming, right?
Yeah, we're dotting all our I's on this episode. There's just a lot of fun stuff coming, and then we're definitely gonna have one. We're gonna have to definitely talk about Captain America when that comes out as well. I just feel like 2025 is gonna be, for me, I think, a better year for films. I kept telling you 2024 was just an odd year of smaller films making big splashes, which is amazing and great. But sometimes I like a little bit more variety. I felt like some of the films, not where it's similar, but some same themes. And I just felt like thematically this year we'll get a bunch of different stuff.
I think it's reflective in the Oscars that are upcoming. And, I like to talk about the awards race a lot, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the movies that are in the race that are really the top contenders are not movies that have mass appeal or were huge box office successes.
I mean, if some didn't make any money or barely made any, or, were just streaming or so forth. So very, very odd year that these were just under the radar films. A lot of
movies
like
The Brutalist and has had a very limited release. Emilia Perez is a Netflix movie.
The Substance, I don't know what type of release that got.
It kind of had a bigger release than expected, but that's a movie that I believe it was Universal dumped it. That was a Universal movie, and they didn't want to release it. I think they didn't realize what they had on their hands, and so it was Mubi, the streaming service, is the one that picked that up and got it distribution. And now here we are. And Demi Moore, there's a really good chance she's going to win an Oscar for this movie. But still, that's not a movie that has mass appeal necessarily. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that will watch that and not enjoy what they're seeing just because it is very gory and it's pretty out there. With the exception of Wicked and Dune Part 2, those are kind of like the blockbusters in the race, but neither of those are on the level that Oppenheimer and Barbie were the year before. So that being said, this year was clearly impacted by the strikes that happened at the end of 2023. And, a lot of movies had to get pushed. We only had one major MCU movie last year. So this year, I think by design, it should be a better year because all those movies that were getting pushed out of 2024 are coming out this year. And so this year is probably going to be overcrowded, if anything.
More excitement. Especially how we love big blockbusters. And
there's been a lot of people doing podcasts like we did with doing their most anticipated for the year. And what's interesting about those is everybody's got different answers because there's so much that's coming out.
And we only did I think our top 5, I think, and that's hard because there's more than 5. Like if we said top 10, there was a few more easily I could have put on there. Mission Impossible, I believe, is coming out this year as well, right?
It is. I mean, you got Mission Impossible, you got Fantastic Four, there's a new Avatar movie coming out.
Jurassic
this year.
World. A lot of stuff. And of course, with Fantastic Four, you got Superman and other things coming. Super excited for that. Oh, Tron is this year too. Tron. There's so much, but this is really a great start to the year. Hard Eyes is a great start to February. I think it really kicks it off.
It is, so to come full circle. I know that, I refer to it as Dumpuary a lot. That's kind of like the cliche film nerd term for January, February. But when a movie like Hard Eyes comes out and then it's actually really fun and enjoyable, it's a pleasant surprise, especially in kind of where there's things showing, like I said, but it's all kind of, mid fare. And this is fun. This is a fun one. So between this and Companion, you have two very different kind of genre horror movies that are both fun in their own ways, and I recommend both of them.
Yeah, and it's perfect time to watch Hard Eyes as Valentine's is coming up. So looking for a bloody good time, grab your date or your bravest friends, check out Hard Eyes, February 7th. So you can watch it before Valentine's Day weekend if you want to, sometimes that's the busy time to go to the theaters. But once you do see it, let us know your thoughts. Come back to this video or hit us up on social media. and tell us what you think about Hard Eyes. Also, make sure you are subscribed for our channel for our reviews. I got a lot of interviews in the works as well. But yeah, Hard Eyes, February 7th, a must watch, a favorite of Drew's and I. That was date night for us. And we're definitely going to do it again. So thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoers Society. Once again, I'm Sean Tajwar, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will see you at the movies.